Welcome back to Legacy Masters, hosted by Next Level Games over the Queen's birthday weekend. I am Sully, and pleased to be in my commentary booth for round 5. I have Graham King from Team Cock Magic.
And hello, it's quite a lovely commentary booth we do have here.
And from the Salt Mine, his truly,
Sean Brown. Hello.
So on our left we have Stephen Tang on the beautiful Topless Miracles.
CanCon champion.
CanCon champion, Liliana Beta. And on our right we have Zach Alvar on Red Black Reanimator.
Yeah, so what do we think about this matchup, Graham?
So it's either going to go really fast or really slow is how this goes. I think if Red Black Reanimator gets off one of its combo pieces, especially Sigh of Insanity or Iona in the first couple of turns, then Tang is going to be quite far behind. But once you've passed those first 2 to 3 turns and you've got consistent counter magic up, it becomes quite hard for the Reanimator player to win.
Yeah, it's really kind of like almost like this Belcher-esque combo deck versus the blue counterspell deck. It's going to blow its load right at the start, and then, you know, if the blue deck can get through that, then, you know, it should be smooth sailing. But, you know, it can, you know, kind of really punish them right on the first turn, really.
Yeah, and it's really a question of what each player has, whether either of the players knows what the other one is on, because it can definitely influence your mulliganing decisions.
Yeah.
If you know that the other player is on a turn 1 deck, for example.
Yeah, I think red-black above all the decks currently in the format, it's the deck that really affects, as a blue fair deck, affects your mulliganing decisions so much. Like, I'll keep a hand with a Delver, a Lightning Bolt, a Ponder, some lands and stuff like that, and be like, yeah, this is pretty good. But if I know my opponent's on red-black, that is way too slow. I need to find a Force of Will. Absolutely. Or some form of interaction. And sometimes that's not even enough. They could just go Chancerer and kill you. So
they could go Cancel, they could go Thoughtseize.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of ways for red-black to still really punish those. I think Stephen Tang does have a Force of Will in his hand and a bunch of cantrips, which is exactly what he wants to see, though. So he's looking to be in pretty good shape. Yeah. But so
Zach's going down to 5, which isn't a good start.
I think he had no lander there. Yeah. I think is what we saw.
So just while we're going through the mulliganing motions, it might be good to have a quick chat about Steven's deck. As most of us probably know who are watching, this top was banned about a month before this tournament occurred, and left quite a few of us a little bit lost as to what deck we wanted to be playing going into this tournament. The Topless Miracles list, which is what Tang's playing, 16 cantrips, 4 Terminus, and a Entreat the Angels, showed up 1 or 2 weeks before the tournament started.
Yeah, I think it was pioneered by a lot of players on Magic Online, such as White Faces and It Is Unfair. And Stephen Tang really loves miracles. Above all, this actually is what keeps him in Legacy. And to see it banned, he was incredibly crushed. Me and him, we started brewing these terrible blue-white control decks that weren't very good. But it turns out there's people much smarter than us who are able to brew these Portent and Predict powered machines. And here we're seeing a Portent on Stephen Tang for himself to start with.
Yeah, it's interesting. He was having a quick look at whether or not the Ponder or the Portent would be the correct choice to lead off on. Portent would be quite interesting here if he did use it on his opponent and just have a look at what his opponent deck is straight off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's a bit aggressive though. Usually what you want to do is use your Portents initially to find land drops, right? Especially on turn 1 when you can't make a land drop. Yep. So you ideally want to stack a spell, then a land, and then kind of draw that land next turn and kind of keep going from there, and then use your ponders later on.
I wouldn't want to do that unless I was very, very confident in the hand that I had.
Yeah, exactly. That turn one Portent is quite aggressive, but you know, maybe I've heard stories of people keeping some sketchy hands, the opponent turn 1 Portenting, and that turn 1 Portent deserving a Force of Will. But
so we see their Faceless looting off a Lotus Petal into an Iona in the bin.
Yeah.
He's found a fetch land and he does have a Reanimate in his hand.
Oh, so this is a mulligan to 5 into a turn one Iona.
And let's see whether or not Stephen has some counter magic behind
Yeah,
that
I
board
think
there.
I saw a Force of Will, but I might be wrong.
I think I saw unexpectedly absent off the portent, so in 2 turns time we're going to have something. It's just a question of whether he's going to name white or blue. I think white is
The right choice.
is the right choice here.
Because of course it cuts off all of his removal spells.
That's
so
right.
unexpectedly absent is not going to be great. There's only one card which can really do it in
Which
this
is
situation.
Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, Jace the Mind Sculptor. So Iona also conveniently will only... If Tang hits his land drops and finds a Jace, he'll be able to bounce this Iona off the board and might be smooth sailing. But it's looking a bit... that's looking like... He's shuffling now off this ponder as well, so he's really kind of...
He's going to be digging very hard for the next couple of turns until he can find something, and he just has to hope that his opponent has nothing behind him.
Yeah, so he's...
Look at Tang, he's got some very professional shuffling happening. You've got to give him mad props for that.
Mad props. Let's hope he peels off some, some land drops is what he's looking for. Yep, so he's got a
2
Tundra.
predicts there.
Yep, so
And
he's
a
got a
Tundra.
lot of predicts, which is good. So he has his he also has his 3rd land drop. He's digging with Brainstorm. I like this, even though it looks a bit weird to be brainstorming on turn 2 in this way. He's looking for, more lands and just being able to predict effectively. So here, so it's Storm Count 2, as Tang would say. When he's cantripping off like this. I mean, the new Miracles deck cantrips a lot.
And he just takes 7 off the Iona.
Yep, 7 off
so
the Iona.
He is set up quite well for his predict. He put back a unexpectedly absent second down, I believe. So we're going to see that go into the bin here, which is interesting because it might be better to leave in your hand if it does come up later in the game.
Yep, so here we have a Entomb for a Gristlebrand. So ideally, Zach does not have a second reanimation spell. So ideally, he can, not follow up this Iona with the Gristlebrand. That'll be bad.
That would definitely spell game, whereas there's still 2 turns for Tang to somehow get back in here at the moment.
Yep, so Iona smashing in. Tang has one last turn to find Jace the Mind Sculptor.
So he's down on 6 at the moment.
So he's down to 6. Yep.
So we're gonna see an end of turn predict.
Yep, end of turn predict.
Which I believe is gonna name unexpectedly absent if it's still there.
Yep,
There we go. And draws 2.
I think that was a
the
Jace. I think that was a Jace.
So if he's got a land here, we could see an upset.
Yeah. Here,
There we
fetches.
go. Fetches. Goes to
Here's
5.
Jace the Mind Sculptor. Holy wow. Okay, right. I mean,
Back in the game.
That's the power of the cantrips, right? The power of the cantrips that are in Topless Miracles. Even though it's not the same power as Sensei's Divining Top, you still filter through a huge amount of your deck. And Tang found exactly what he was looking for in Jace the Mind Sculptor.
And that dice coming in, starting on 2, and Iona going straight back to Zach's hand.
Yep.
And Tang has a full hand of 7 cards versus...
He also has a counterspell as well in his hand. So if he can fade this one turn, so if this looting doesn't hit another reanimation spell, Tang's going to be in really good shape. He'll have counterspell up and Jace on board.
Even if it does hit the reanimate, doesn't hit a creature into the board, Jace can still bounce another turn, but obviously...
if Gristlebrand is... I mean, it's kind of lucky in some ways that Zach had turn 1 Iona. If he had turn 1 Gristlebrand, I don't think Tang would be in this game at all. So here we go. So he picks up a Snapcaster Mage as well. And here, Jace's elevator's going up. So Jace is ticking up, and he's targeting himself.
Playing around the fetch land on that side of the board.
That makes sense. And I think he has a second predict in hand as well.
Yeah.
So this makes this pretty reasonable.
So he's got that, and if he's got a Snapcaster in hand as well.
Yeah, so he can do lots of lines open up here. He's got Snapcaster, Brainstorm, tons of stuff ready to go. And it looks like Zach's probably just going to be jamming this Reanimate here. I don't see a reason not to. I mean, the thing is, he could be thinking, what if I wait until I find a discard spell? But that's not really too effective when you have a Snapcaster Mage in hand. Because, of course, he can take the counterspell and then Steven can just snap it back again. So this is going to be not much of an issue.
So
I think we
Zach
have
just shuffling through what his options are here.
Yeah. So as I said, I'm thinking we're going to see this reanimate.
Yeah, he does get
Jam.
left on.
I think he has an exhume as well, which is pretty good.
Yeah, which doesn't hit anything on Tang's side at the moment, and Reanimate at the moment does leave Zach down on 2 life. He doesn't know this at the moment, but Tang doesn't actually have a way to.
Yeah, Snapcaster Mage can Snapcaster Mage can pop in and do a bit of damage, so he passes here, right? So as I said, might be waiting for a discard spell, but I think really you just have to throw all your reanimation spells at your opponent. At this stage. Alright, so he's gonna force him to fetch, is what I'm imagining.
And you can see Tang shaking his head there. He does not look like he's happy with that. It's a faceless looting being shown to us by the off-camera helper, apparently.
Yeah, so it looks like of course, faceless looting is actually very good because there's a lot of dead draws coming up, and it essentially reads draw 2 cards. Here we have a Dark Ritual. And looks like he's going to lead off on that. So I think he's aiming to overload all these counter spells.
So we've got 3 different reanimate spells that we can have possibly go off this turn. And we're leading on the first one. Fortunately, the life isn't lost until the spell resolves. It's not an additional cost.
Yeah, I think that's what Steven is reading, because he's thinking about whether he can get in there with some Snapcaster Mage beatdown. Looks like he's letting that reanimate resolve.
So we may actually go straight into
this.
the...
I like this. This is a really good play. Because he's looking at, the Gristlebrand, and now he's going to...
so he kind of spelled the second Extreme, which went off. Goes to Snapcaster, bounces with Jace, and beats him for lethal.
For the win. Yeah.
That is... not a sequence of plays I was expecting to see after a turn 1 Iona.
Yeah, so that was, as I said, really the power of the Topless Miracles deck there, finding Jace right on schedule. And really once you're able to get past that, that early here, this giant fatty that's in play, the deck really kind of takes over with its counter magic and everything. So let's look at sideboarding. What does Steven Tang have for us?
So we've got the obvious ones first. 3 surgical extractions, which are written on his deck list as surgical, so who knows what that class would actually be. Surgical. There's also a moat, which is only going to hit half the creatures in his deck, so I don't think that comes in.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Humility is very nice, but very expensive.
Yep.
Leyline of Sanctity is really nice just because it hits the...
discard spells.
All the discard spells, and he's got so many of them in his deck.
It really allows you to protect all your counter magic. So I think Leyline of Sanctity is very, very good.
It's nice to come in. It's just if you don't get it on the turn 1, the turn 0 player just sits in your hand. And
I mean, the deck can very reasonably hard cast it, but this isn't a matchup where hard casting it isn't great. For example, against Storm, counter spelling some stuff and then hard casting a Leyline is pretty good. It's like kind of like a 4-mana win condition in some ways, because then they have to go for empty. But yeah, in this matchup, you really need it on the turn 1 to weather the early discard.
Yeah. Then following up from that, we've got Flusterstorm, just as some cheaper counter spells than what we've got at the moment, because we've got 4 Forcible and 3 counter spells, and with such a low amount of mana in Zach's deck, that feels like it would be okay there.
Yep.
We've got Monastery Mentors, which are probably not coming in. 1 Vendilion Click, which is nice just to have a look at your opponent's hand, and finally a Disenchant, which can only hit Animate Dead, so probably not coming in.
I think actually Monastery Mentor will be coming in, because you need to be able to turn the corner very fast against these combo decks. So
you prefer to be doing the aggressive plan based off the cantrips rather than playing hard control here, you think?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I could be wrong. I think there's definitely going to be some trimming down of Entreat the Angels, a trimming down of Jace. I mean, Jace was nice there, but he is very, very slow typically. And, some of the removal isn't particularly great. Terminus isn't particularly great, for example.
Yeah, it is interesting that with the newer versions of this deck, we've got Monastery Mentor in the main, and I don't think I'd board them out. It's just, for some reason, I don't think I would board them in. Let's move over to Zach's deck and have a look at what he's got in his sideboard.
So he has a Grave Titan, a Blazing Archon, 1 Pyroblast, 4 Wear Tear, 4 Collective Brutality, and 4 Stronghold Gambit. So Interestingly, so there's a few things that are probably reasonable to start off with. The Pyroblast, I mean, Topless Miracles is a completely blue deck, so I guess the one of Pyroblast is pretty good. I think Collective Brutality is also very strong in general. I know that Tang doesn't have actually Containment Priests in his sideboard, which a lot of Miracles list might. But Zach definitely probably is bringing in those Collective Brutalities, not only as a way to kill those, but also just as a good discard spell.
I don't think either of the alternate fatty options, the Grave Titan or the Blazing Archon, are really going to get there.
I think Grave Titan could be reasonable. I think Grave Titan is reasonable because I'm expecting Tang to board out his Terminus.
Okay.
Depends how kind of you're leveling him, but I expect Tang to be boarding out his Terminus, and therefore Grave Titan might be a good option. Even just a hard cast in the late game, because you can get to that critical mana with the Dark Rituals.
Yeah. The 4 Wear Tears are not going to hit a single card in Tang's deck.
Well, it'll hit this Leyline of Sanctity, but I'm not sure if that's really the plan you want to be on
It's
anyway.
a question if you want to level your opponent once again.
Yeah, and then the 4 Stronghold Gambits. This is interesting. I think this... I don't know, this could be good, this could be bad. I kind of feel so mixed on this card in general.
The moment you know about a Stronghold Gambit, it becomes a bad card.
Yeah, it really does.
And it makes it quite a very interesting mind game to play with your opponent, especially if you show it to them in a second game and then immediately board them out.
Exactly, right? So, but I think the Snapcaster, there might be Mentor, then a Click. I mean, there's not many creatures, but, you know, Stronghold Gambit could really kind of punch you in the nuts in some ways if you kind of time it wrong. Then again, there is Discard to kind of push it through. Looks like Zach actually did bring in the Wear Tears, I saw in his hand there.
So maybe he knows about the Tang Plan of Humility and Leyline of Sanctity.
Yeah, he might. Maybe he does. Or I think a lot of the time for Red-Black Reanimator, a lot of players just bring it in as a hedge. Against, you know, he's playing against a white deck, for example, and might be worried about Rest in Peace or something along those lines.
That is true.
So, again, it's just a bit of a hedge, I imagine, because otherwise those things are really just game over. But honestly, I'm not sure if I like that sideboarding. Honestly, when I sideboard, I'll try and be with the combo deck as proactive as possible in the kind of the second game when I don't really know what hate they're on, and then in the third game, once I know which hate I have to target, then I'll bring in Wear Tears. If I saw
as long as you make it to that third game.
Yeah. I mean, if you just kill them in game 2 anyway, well, yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean,
I think with a deck like this, you need to be going for some sort of removal for Graveyard Hate on the other side of the board. Our friend Stephen Capavilla, who also plays Blue-Black Reanimator in this case, every single game he will bring in his Abrupt Decays.
and
even
his
if
show
he
and
doesn't know
tells.
what his removal his opponent's going to be bringing in, the Abrupt Decay just kind of hits everything.
Yeah, and those Abrupt Decays are so flexible as well, so they're never really a dead card. But I guess Wear Tear is similar in kind of its flexibility, but maybe
you're not
a little
going to
less.
have something in White-Red which is going to hit both the creatures and the enchantments, and the enchantments are usually just that little bit scarier.
I guess that's why Collective Brutality is a really nice addition, though, isn't it? It's so flexible. It's almost like, you know, not on Abrupt Decay levels of flexibility, but, you know, it really is a perfect fit for the deck as a flexible answer.
Removal, discard, and activating your combo at the same time.
Yeah,
is just
it's really good.
so many levels.
All right, so Zach on a Mull 2-4, sadly. I think, as I said, those Wear Tears kind of biting him there because he saw so many hands with Wear Tear there that were kind of non-functional. They were kind of just glutting up his hand. Tang, on the other side, has a very strong hand. It looks like he's got a Force of Will, a Ponder, and a Counterspell.
Leads on the Ponder there.
Yep, leads on a Ponder. I'm sure he's looking for something delightful, like a Surgical Extraction or something like that, to really make his hand even better than it already is.
Yeah, so he's going for the Tundra, which is an interesting choice. A few of the Black-Red Reanimator lists do decide to run Blood Moons out of the board, so it's sometimes an idea to just hedge your bets against the fact that that card may show up in your future if you're going into the second or third game. So with the number of basics that this deck plays, it's currently got 6 islands
I think it's
and
8.
2 planes.
So a lot of basics.
It's obviously not going to do as much work as it would against, say, a Delver deck with no basics.
So it looks like Tang kept there. There's a Plow. I think I saw another white card, which was Monastery Mentor. And he picks up a Predict. off the ponder. So he has Force plus blue card plus a counterspell. And here we see in Zach's hand a Stronghold Gambit. All right, that's exciting.
There's no creature to go with it yet, but that could go very badly with him if Tang shows him that mentor he's got there.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that Zach is going to be leading on that mask he's holding in his hand before going through anything else.
All right, looks like it was a Leyline of Sanctity there.
Going into the bin off Predict and Tang drawing 2.
Yep, so drawing 2 Jace the Mind Sculptors, really wanting to hit those land drops now. Zach has lovely swamps. That's a lovely swamp. I'm not sure what set that's from, but it's a nice swamp. Old bordered, has the tap. Is it Onslaught?
It's a little bit hard to see since we don't have a Lotus Petal on the way, but
Yeah.
we'll try and work it out a little bit later.
Yeah.
And Tang going for
A brains.
Portal 3 Kingdoms Islands, I think it is.
So he has a Portal 3 Kingdoms island mismatching with his Hong Kong APAC islands. He needs to find more. He doesn't have enough Hong Kong APAC islands. But anyway, we're not seeing the mismatch yet because here we have accidentally fetching with the basic island. And here we see Jace the Mind Sculptor. So now he's going to get pretty far ahead, I think. He knows that Zach's not doing anything. He knows that Zach has mulled to 4. So I imagine Fate Sealing may be an option.
Since he hasn't done anything for the last 3 turns, I think going up on his side is quite powerful.
Yeah.
And he does already have the Force of Will there. But instead deciding to brainstorm, gets a 3rd Jace the Mind Sculptor because that's what you always wanted to see.
I guess he's brainstorming here because I think he has a feeling that the Force of Will is not enough security in his hand. He's expecting his opponent to be on a discard heavy hand, and hence he wants to really pad that out. And we might see.
So,
Yep, here comes the Unmask. All right, Unmask Xome.
Targets his opponent and we'll just see exactly what happens. Okay, lays his hand down. We've got Predict, Flusterstorm, Swords, Force, Counterspell, and Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yep, so he's taking the Force, but he sees Plow and Flusterstorm, and yep, so I mean, Tang's tapped out with Jace here and probably felt that he just needed to fade that 1-turn window, but it looks like Zach has something to kind of capitalize on that.
At the moment, if Tang does make it past this turn, then it's going to be quite
that's a
good.
Grave Titan hand.
Yeah, so he's got a Stronghold Gambit, shows the Grave Titan.
Tang giving Stronghold Gambit a bit of a read. So this is 1 and a red for each creature reveals a...
Each player reveals a creature.
I think
the
it's
lowest
reveals...
one gets put in play.
I think it's you reveal a card and the creature with the lowest converted mana cost. So here we see Tang revealing Jace the Mind Sculptor for the rub-ins.
Right.
But anyway, we see the Grave Titan in play. But this isn't that bad. If this was Gristlebrand, different story. Since this is a Grave Titan, this is going to get plowed. The zombie is going to get bounced, and then I think he's going to be actually in pretty good shape with his opponent just on a 2/2. So yeah, he can even cast another Jace and bounce the second zombie.
Would not be surprised if I was to see that play, but decides to leave it there just to have the zombie kill it instead.
Yep.
And he's got the counterspell held up and the Flusterstorm as well, so I can expect Jace to start, well, the next Jace I should say, to start ticking up very soon.
Yeah, so we see the Jace getting attacked, Tang predicting himself here, naming Brainstorm and drawing 2 cards. So again, the velocity of Predict, really, really powerful there. Tang remembering his cards very well, nicely enough. I guess he'd love a
Portent.
I guess a Portent would be good. He'd love, I guess, another land so he can hold up Jace plus Counterspell. But I guess Jace plus Flusterstorm is a reasonable consolation.
Yeah, so he opts for getting rid of the zombie. Zach plays out a land and is holding up a black-red-white Force of Will.
Black, red, white... Oh, right.
5 mana at the very least.
He's holding up 5 mana. Yeah, the Scrubland, of course, for the white side of Wear Tear. And actually, yeah, nothing much else there. So I think he has a Chrome Mox in hand, which is also a pretty dead draw.
And there we go. We're going to start the up on, I assume, that side of the board, but we'll find out.
Yep.
So Tang ponders. Let's look at a few more cards. I think that's important. A ponder and a Force of Will.
Yep, so draws the Force and has the Jace still sticking around. In good shape.
And Zach draws a Reanimator, I believe.
Okay.
No creatures in graveyard at the moment.
Yep. Tang fetching, getting rid of whatever was on top. So I think that was the few cantrips there. So it was a Ponder and a Brainstorm. So he fetches that away, and just going to have a look at a fresh few cards. Probably looking for a way to turn the corner. I mean, Jace is good, but so a bit of video issues, video issues there. But yeah, he's probably looking. This is the spot where you want Monastery Mentor, or even a click is okay, but Monastery Mentor would really turn the corner perfectly.
Yeah, so it ticks up. I think that was an unmask, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, looks like it was an unmask, which is again against Tang's stacked hand. It's not that great. So Zach just
interesting that he's choosing not to fetch in response to the Jason Mind Sculptor activation. Tang just drawing more land. He's got Hardcast, Force of Will, and Counterspell that he can
looks like that's
juice there at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like this is a Gristlebrand that he's putting to the bottom. So he leaves it on top.
And Zach has no way to discard it at the moment. So.
Well, we're getting to almost Hardcast Gristlebrand territory though, aren't we?
Yeah, so just need 3 more mana sources, not even land. Dark Ritual would probably do it.
Dark Ritual would do it. There's a Chromox in hand as well, so yeah, Gristlebrand is something that we could see occurring, but again, he's just going to be smashed in the face by a counterspell, which I'm never sad to see a Gristlebrand smashed in the face by a counterspell.
Look, I can't say that you're in a good spot if you're doing that.
if that's your out.
With a black-red Reanimator deck, and I think we're going to see the Hardcast unmask here, actually.
Right, so here he's fetching.
Yeah, Hardcast unmask.
Yeah, Hardcast unmask. Right, I've never actually Hardcast and unmasked in my life. Ooh, Flusterstorm's it.
Flusterstorm's it.
Okay, so I guess he wants to kind of save that. Flusterstorm is reaching its expiration date as well, so I really like Tang doing that. Tang portenting his opponent.
That's right.
Getting the party kicking.
Yep, getting the party
kicking.
kicking.
Look at that, and that means he can even predict his opponent if he really wants to, though. He
would...
does have a Reanimate in hand, so I don't think it's a deck you want to do that against.
Oh yeah, that'll be, you have to predict very carefully, wouldn't you? Not name the fatty. Yep, looks like he just...
leaves those 3 there.
Upkeep draws.
And this is just going through the motions for the end of this game, I think.
Yeah, this is, I mean... People say Miracles was slow, but this is just durdling again. It's just the same thing all over, right? We're just sitting here. Tang's just happily spinning his wheels. Names Animate Dead, and draws 2. Oh, there's a Surgical in hand as well. As I said, it looks like this game is going to be won by a Jace Ultimate, which is a slow win con, I guess. Here he's casting the Leyline of Sanctity. Yep, so that's, again, I guess this is a reasonable spot for it, but again, it's not really doing a huge amount.
Well, it turns off the discard, which would otherwise be cast.
Yeah, so that counterspell is nice and safe in his hand now. So really, all he has to worry about is kind of like multiple reanimation spells. Speaking of discard, Zach picks up a Thoughtseize.
Does he have anything in hand at the moment? He doesn't, so he can't.
He has a Gristlebrand. He has a Gristlebrand, I think.
There we go.
He's gonna Thoughtseize himself.
Takes 2 life, goes down to 22.
Yep, 22. And he's going to reanimate it. And this is going to be happily met by... Oh, okay.
Surgical Extraction.
I mean, Tang has a wealth of options for himself in terms of what he wants to do. He can counterspell that, he can surgical that.
And this does mean that he gets to see how Zach sideboarded as well.
Yeah.
So it just, that extra information always is good just to know exactly what it is that you're going to be fighting against.
Yep, so I think we saw the Pyroblast, the Stronghold Gambit, and the Wear Tear. Don't think he brought in the Collective Brutalities, interestingly. Yeah. I guess he decided to stay fast with the unmasks. Because you can't board in too much discard, because otherwise you'll dilute your game plan a bit too much, sorry. So I guess that's reasonable on the play. Unmask is pretty spicy, but not great when you've mulled to 4, as Zach has.
So Tang
untapped
again.
Elevator's going up, so we're very close to Jace being ready to ultimate soon.
He sees a Stronghold Gambit on top, and he knows Zach's hand from the surgical, so he knows that that's not going to be doing anything.
Yep. So he's going to draw.
Zach
Draws
does
another
have
surgical.
a fetch land down there, so decides not to use it.
Yep, decides not to fetch. Draws the Stronghold Gambit.
And here's the Jace Ultimate.
Jace Ultimate. So, how's your library with just a Stronghold Gambit and a Chrome Mox in it? Not great.
Decides just to scoop it up, and that is a masterclass on how to play Control.
Yeah, there you go. As I said, Stephen Tang, CanCon champion, really knows how to play these kind of dirtily control decks. He when he's in the driver's seat with Jace the Mind Sculptor, ticking up, cantripping around, that is his zone. That is where he wants to be. And we saw him really flourish once he was able to sculpt his hand perfectly there. So yeah, pretty good stuff. Topless Miracles looking like a really strong contender against, one of the tier decks in Legacy. So I don't think it's no joke for sure. It's no joke. I know you've had some success with it already as well, Graham.
Yeah, so just felt more powerful than any other deck that I was playing against when I tried it at one of the weeklies.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap up with that one there. Thank you very much for watching this round 5. We'll be back soon for the 6th round.
We'll see you.